Hey everybody, it's your pal the Cartoon Fiend. Well, normally I don't do movie reviews, I typically just do cartoon reviews, but seeing as how Transformers is a classic cartoon series from back in the day, one I plan on reviewing soon, I felt it was only appropriate to do a review on the recently released movie Transformers 2 Revenge of the Fallen. So it's only been a few days since the movie came out. I went to the midnight premiere. I felt that's the best place to go for a movie you really want to see. The hardcore fans are there, and that's where you have the best experience. In my general opinion of the movie, it was bigger, better, and it had more of everything than the last movie. Now, a lot of the reviews I've been reading so far from critics like Roger Ebert and on RottenTomatoes.com have been getting pretty bad reviews. And my message to you guys is get off your high horse and just take it for what it is. It's a frickin' action film. It's not supposed to win any Academy Awards. Well, maybe for CG effects. It's a summer blockbuster. It's going to make a lot of money and entertain the hell out of you. I know the movie's been out a few days, but if you haven't already seen it, I'm going to reveal a few pieces of the plot point. So let that be your spoiler alert for this review. Plot centers around the Autobots' relationship with humans as they form this group called Nest, trying to track down last remaining Decepticons all over the world. And also, this creature called the Fallen. His goal is pretty much to find Shia LaBeouf's character, Sam Witwicky, as he seems to have the key to something that he's looking for. So the entire movie, the Decepticons are mobilizing, trying to find Sam, where the Autobots are trying to protect him at the same time. The one thing that bothered me about the previous film was how close up all the shots were of the transformations. Half the time you can't even tell what's going on or who it is. So that was one thing I was hoping they were going to improve on in this new one. So the first transformation in the film, it's a super close-up, and I was pretty disappointed. But as the movie progressed, to my surprise, they were all far zoomed out shots. I mean, pretty much all of them were. You could see exactly what's going on, and for me, it made for a much more entertaining experience. Another thing is that the Transformers take center stage over the humans in this movie. In my opinion, the humans had way too much screen time and took up way too much of the plot in the first film. The movie's called Transformers, not Geeky Guy and Hot Chick, okay? They should have all the screen time. That's exactly how it should be like. And in this film, you know, the whole thing was 2.5 hours, and the Transformers took up the majority of that. They're either talking to the humans or they're fighting. In the first film, I'm rewatching it, and half the time I'm catching myself just fast-forwarding through it all because there's so much just annoying dialogue or just stuff I don't want to watch. Like the scene where they're in the garden and all the Transformers are trying to hide and they're trying to find the Allspark or the glasses. That was just a flat-out ridiculous scene that should have just not been in the film at all. But in the second one, so much more action. It seems like half the movie is just filled with fight scenes, which is exactly what we want. We don't want to see Sam running around being goofy and being nerdy. We want to watch the Transformers kick the crap out of each other, and that's exactly what happened. Another thing that I really, really liked, as opposed to the old film, Optimus Prime is way more of a badass. I felt he was kind of weak in the first film, as seeing as how he pretty much resorted to killing himself because he couldn't defeat Megatron. There's a couple scenes in the movie that you guys are going to absolutely love. Optimus Prime just freaking owns people left and right. It's awesome. I also like the romance between Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox in this movie. It's much more believable. I thought it was pretty cliche in the last movie. It wasn't too believable, just the way they interacted and everything that happened. But in this one, they go on so many adventures together, and there's so many more points in the movie where it makes sense and it's believable. One other complaint I'm hearing about the movie is that it was too loud. For me, that really put me in the movie. It actually felt like I was there. The final fight scene was so epic. There were so many explosions and sounds going off. I felt like I was actually there, part of the movie as a bystander. I feel like that's just a testament to Michael Bay's filmmaking abilities. You know, when you get so sucked into a movie that you kind of ignore everything around you and you feel like you're actually part of the movie, you know the filmmaker's doing something right. And that's exactly how I felt multiple times during the story. I will say the one big complaint I've had about this film is the twin cars. Okay, these guys are widely considered the Jar Jar Binks of this movie, and they had no business being in this film. To my knowledge, they're not Transformers from the original show, so I don't really understand why they had to be there in the first place. There is plenty of comedy relief through Bumblebee, this little remote control car called Wheels or Wheelie, and then Sam's roommate. Those guys did not need to be there. How about throwing in some characters from the show that you remember, like Wheeljack maybe? Somebody that was actually in the show all the time? And speaking of characters that were in the show often, I'm glad they finally decided to put Ravage in the movie. You know, he was such a prominent character in the show and one that was so important. And I was really surprised that they didn't put him in the first film. You know, thinking back and watching the first film, they easily could have replaced Scorponok with Ravage. I mean, they could have accomplished everything they wanted to do with Scorponok and would have satisfied the fans more, because Ravage is so big. He's in like almost every episode. He's a huge part of the Decepticons. And I just loved how they finally decided to put him in the movie. To sum it all up, this movie was awesome. I had extremely high expectations for this movie, especially considering I had to wait 2 years for it. And it far surpassed it. It had everything I was looking for and more. If your eyes could get cavities, they would from all the eye candy in this movie. It satisfies Transformers fans and action fans of all types. So my advice to you is, ignore all the film critics' reviews and things in your newspaper and what you're reading online, and just go see it for yourself and enjoy it, because summer blockbuster, it's got a ton of action. I really think you're going to enjoy it. This is the Cartoon Fiend, signing out.